For religion, we're going to be looking at a very famous story. It's actually the most popular story around the world, even in non Christian traditions. It's called the Good Samaritan. And I'm sure you're familiar with it. It comes from Luke 10:25 to 37. Now, before we read it, I just want you to have a look at some of the key information, especially the geography. This is a map, and this is what the road to Jericho would have looked like. So it wasn't an easy journey. It was actually quite harsh. The environment and the terrain was quite extremely harsh. It was hot. It was rocky. It was a very, very difficult, barren, rocky landscape. And it was quite isolated, so it wasn't very safe. A lot of people will get mugged there. A lot of people will get actually killed there. So if you were traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho or vice versa, it was extremely unsafe. So you wouldn't want to do it at night, and you wouldn't want to do it alone. Okay, so this is another picture that just shows you what it looked like. Okay, these are just pictures to show you what it would have looked like. Okay. You can see how difficult it would have been. Okay. Now, it's important that you know some of the key technical language in the passage. So, the first is a lawyer. A lawyer is somebody who is trained in law. Now, even in the time of Jesus, they had people that were part of the law, the people that made decisions, people that ruled. Okay, for example, Jesus was crucified. Okay, so he was put in front of a judge in the sense where he was prosecuted for his alleged crimes. Inherit means to get something when somebody passes away. So, if somebody's great grandmother passed away, they might inherit something from her, like a piece of jewelry. Eternal means something that lasts forever, especially when we refer to heaven. Okay, sorry, go back. Now, this is a part that is really important. A Samaritan is somebody who belonged to the town of Samaria. And in the time of Jesus, the Jewish people and the Samaritans extremely disliked each other. They didn't associate with each other. If one were to pass another, they believed that they would be infected by them, so they avoided each other with all cost. A priest is somebody that celebrated mass, and in those times, if you were a Jewish priest, so remove my head there. If you were a Jewish priest, you practice it. You practice within a Jewish temple. A Levite is a member of the Jewish priestly tribe of Levi. They were not priests, but they were associated with priests in the temple. So you could see that you have the high priest, he's the top, then a priest is the second, and then a Levite. Okay. And they were mainly poor, especially those that lived in the country. So here is the story, okay, now that you know that. Just as then, a lawyer stood up to test Jesus. So I'll just move this out of the way. Thank you. Okay. Just then, a lawyer stood up to test Jesus. Teacher, he said, what must I do to inherit eternal life? He said to him, what is written in the law? What do you read there? He answered, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. And he said to him, you have given the right answer. Do this and you will live. But wanting to justify himself, he asked Jesus, and who is my neighbor? So Jesus replied, a man was going from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell into the hands of robbers, who stripped him, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. Now, by chance, a priest who was going down that road, and when he saw him, he passed on the other side. Now, a priest is supposed to be the holy one, somebody that looks after his community and somebody that will help this man. So, likewise, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed on the other side. And they came from the same culture. But a Samaritan, I remember, they despised each other. They were not supposed to be next to each other. They weren't supposed to be associated with each other, okay? But a Samaritan while traveling came near him, and when he saw him, he was moved with pity. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, having poured oil and wine on them. Then he put him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took 2 denarii, gave it to the innkeeper, and said, "Take care of him, and when I come back, I will repay you whatever more you spend." Now that's a lot of money. That's like 2 months of work for him. Which of these three do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? He said, "The one who showed him mercy." Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise." Okay. All I want you to do today, we will continue to explore this story, is draw an image. It doesn't have to be a literal image. It could be something that is abstract, but something that shows your understanding of the story of the Good Samaritan, where somebody who was supposed to hate another is the one who stopped and helped.